infamous pumpkin seed long-ear sunfish. What a nightmare for soft plastic. Alas, we have arrived. We are done painting with plastic. Okay, the moment I've been waiting for. I'm going to top one of these off. What do you guys think? Welcome back, everybody, to the world's worst fishing. I'm Chris Jones. Thanks for being here today. This is a video where y'all are about to see me get my butt kicked, okay? I'm gonna try the impossible pour. I've never tried it. I've done other variations of sunfish and long-ear sunfish. This one should be my biggest challenge. I'm about to show you a close-up picture of it. But before we do that, this was actually a bait making contest by the Lure Making and Painting Facebook page, which is one of the biggest and, in my opinion, one of the best Facebook forums for lure makers. Now, there's not many soft plastic guys on there. It's more you know, wooden and airbrush. But I said, hey, I'll enter the contest, and then I forgot to do it, unfortunately. So this is a late entry. It won't count, and that's probably a good thing. But we're gonna try it anyway. Okay, today's ridiculously stupid challenge is, yes, the infamous pumpkin seed long-ear sunfish. What a nightmare for soft plastic. And I mean, just look at all the dots. You know, we have like the little tiger stripes in the face. We have that, that red and black, you know, gill dots there. One of the prettiest fish in the world. I mean, you can catch them all over the place. What a nightmare. I mean, we are going to hand pour this, and it might just be too much. You know, I don't know. That's going to be absolutely stupid. So I'm going to pour 3 of them and hope that at least one of these comes out. All right, here we go. We are going to start with the red dot, okay? So basically, I need to place a red dot about right there, a little behind the end of the gill plate on this. And here we go. Just like that. Because then we're going to place a black dot in front of it so that we can sort of get this two-tone effect there. You can see there's black and then that orange red sort of right behind it. So that's where I want to place my red dots. Okay, and this is just some remelt red that I had. Normally I would show you the color building process, but there's not a whole lot of process there. That's just Dead On Plastics red colorant. And basically the first step is to place our dots. Okay, and the easy part is is now done. Now we're going to place our black plastic, okay, in there. So we have some black on the way, and then comes the painful part, placing all of that burnt orange copper all over this thing. Yeah, I think it goes without saying, you know, there's a lot of detail here. There's a lot of color that has to be placed very precisely. You know, we kind of have to fade this sort of turquoise blue down to a more greenish white, you know, and then there's some, you know, I guess orange there in the bottom. And I think we can place that color properly and do it effectively. You know, one thing about soft plastics is you don't know what it's going to look like until you're done. You can come out here and spend 2 hours on a pour and it comes out like garbage. You know, whenever you're airbrushing something, you can see what it looks like as you go. You can make changes, you can troubleshoot, you can start over and paint the whole thing back to white and start completely over. You can't do that with soft plastic. You just have to basically cross your fingers and hope for the best, and it is completely unforgiving. Okay, let's hope for the best here. We just need to very precisely, I'm gonna sit down. We need to very precisely pour some black to sort of butt up right behind our red dot there. So basically we just need a black dot of our own. Yeah, something about like that. And that's probably about as accurate as we can do it. Now once we use heat to melt those together, they will kind of merge a bit, so to speak. But if we look at our target, you can see there's a black dot in front of the red dot. Okay, and the next step now is to mix up our kind of burnt orange copper color that we then have to pour some kind of striping in the head with, and then dots all over this thing. Yeah, it's starting to get serious. Okay, and we're working with Dead On Plastics Craw Tube Blend. I slightly overcooked that, but that's okay. Now we need to figure out how to get this burnt orange copper color, okay? And what we're gonna start with is some copper pearl powder. That will give us that copper color, and it will also give us the thick saturation of pearl, because all these little dots and patterns with this color are all going to be in front of the colors that we then pour behind that. So they need to be visible. They don't need to get lost in all the layers. So I actually want a fairly decent amount of saturation here. I don't want these to be super thin, so to speak. Now we're going to start with that much and see what we get. And then we might add some orange to this, or yellow, depending on what we need. Okay, so you can see that we've already got that orange copper pearl going. Alright. And that's still pretty thin. You can see it there on the table. It's not horribly thick, but I think that's going to be our color base. Okay, so you can see we need to brighten it some, okay? So that's what we have. We need to brighten it. So I'm thinking I'm going to add some yellow. I need to go get my yellow. Okay, here's our yellow. You can see this bottle has looked better before, but just a few drops here. And we'll see how that affects it. You know, you really want to build color slowly when you're trying to do something just completely outrageous like this. Okay, I think we now need to add more of this pearl back into it. That may have brightened it slightly too much. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at this. Okay, we actually just yellowed it up some more. The only way I know how to do this, and I've only done this a few times, is to pour a little bit there in the head, okay, and then let it run this way. And that's going to kind of give us our sort of tiger stripe effect in the head. Now I'm just going to start it there on the eye and let it run down. Okay. Didn't get quite enough on there. That's okay. I can remove that and then we can try again. So let's try again. Yeah. Okay. And then we will try to get one more or less up here in the head portion as well. We're going to kind of pour it behind the eye socket there. And then try to let it run around this side. Again, not quite enough. That's okay. We are trying to place plastic in very, very small places very precisely. But this is what makes this so much fun to me, is the challenge. Okay. So there we sort of have some sideways tiger stripes. And then from there, we will dot with the same plastic all over the mold. So that is our next step. Okay, so there's what we have. Now we're going to place a little bit more color in the heads. We might place a little bit of black up in the heads, but for right now we need to start dotting with our orange, and we're basically just going to do it completely at random. All right, So I'm only going to show you one of these, and hopefully we can get this right. I'm basically just going to start dripping dots randomly. Gotta get your plastic real hot for this. That way it'll actually drip dots and not just smudges. Oh, that's not even on camera. Would help if it was in frame. Yeah, see, you can see my plastic starting to set up. So what I'm gonna do is get it even hotter. But as you can see, we now have the beginnings of our rando dots. Okay, I zoomed out a little bit, so hopefully we can get a little bit more of this in frame. But basically, we just want the drip dots. Yeah, plastic really wants to set up there in the nose, or excuse me, in the nozzle, so to speak. I don't even know if that's a nozzle. What is that? The spout? Call it a spout on a cup. So anyway, dot, dot, dot. Dot, dot, dot. Come on, baby, dot me. So basically something like that, and we're gonna, I mean, we gotta add more dots. That's just simply not enough dots. So, sort of like the cowbells, we gotta have more dots. All right, we got one. I think that's probably enough dots for one. Now we have to do it 5 more times. Yeah, it kind of looks like they have the chicken pox. But anyway, we're gonna keep dotting on here. Okay, we got all of our dots done. And now what we need to do is make this portion of the color. We're gonna pour this kind of top, this top turquoise blue layer, okay? So that is our next step. Okay, now we want sort of a turquoise blue. So we're gonna do some Lureworks Phthalo Blue, and we're just gonna do 2 drops. This stuff is very concentrated, as you're about to find out. And this is only about 1/4 cup of plastisol, okay? All right, beautiful. Now we're gonna cut it with a little bit of white pearl, which will brighten it up and also give us the pearl saturation. All right, so this is how I like to make a turquoise blue, is to combine these 2 elements here. Sort of gives it like a nice aqua. And then of course you could add just a touch of green to something like that, and it would also look pretty dynamite. But we're basically gonna stop with that. Perfect. That's about the thickness that I want. And then we're gonna add a little bit of small flake just to break things up, to add a little bit of texture, okay? So this is the 0.015 black flake, and it's basically just like putting a little bit of pepper on your food. Okay, now we actually get to do a little bit of skin pouring, and we basically want to pour the top half of this in this blue, okay? So we're just gonna start back here, all the way back here in the tail. All right, now let's run our plastic down into the head, all the way into the head, okay? Maybe let it kind of run down in a few places, but essentially that's what we want. Okay, we only want this kind of darker shade blue in sort of that top half of the mold. So not in the belly, you know, then you can kind of splotch in some filler wherever you see fit, okay? So now we can see this color is starting to happen a little bit. All right, you can see the way that it's interacting up there in the head. And now it looks like we're actually doing something that might look like a bait or a fish. So I'll show you one more. All right, here we go. Starting up here. And let's work our way down. Just let that plastic fill in around those dots as we go. way down into the head. Kind of splotch it where we want it to go. Let it run a little bit. Okay, so I actually went back and filled in the heads with more blue because it just looked like that's what I needed to do. So you see how it kind of gets a little green there in the bottom? That's next. Okay, so we're going to use Dead on Plastics Chartreuse Lime, Char Lime here, and just a few drops. Okay. Oh yeah, looking good. We're also going to cut that with some white pearl, kind of similar to how we built the blue. Okay. Then we're also going to add a little bit of small black flake to that, and then kind of see where that gets us. All right, here we go. Just kind of in that tail section, the bottom. Oop, sorry y'all. I have to watch what I'm doing, and sometimes that means I'm not watching the camera. So that's kind of where that's going. It's in that bottom tail section. And that was not poured all that well, my apologies. So that's going to kind of go down in there. Alright. And again, heat will marry all these colors together to where they look a little bit more blended, of course. There we go. That one's poured better. So yeah, that's the next step. So if we look at what we have going, no, it's not like too far off. No, there's some similarities there. We have a few more things to put on there, and then we're done with the skins. Okay, and we are returning to our copper orange, but in a much less dense, saturated version. I want to pour a little bit just down there, just in that bottom section. Okay, make sure it's on camera. I have to really watch what I'm doing here. I have to watch the mold more so than anything else. Okay. Yeah, exactly where I want it. I want just a little bit of that on the bottom. Now I have to do that 5 more times. Alright, and now I'm just splotching a little bit of black along the top, and that will kind of darken just the tops of these, okay? And it will sort of blend in. So basically, this is how I can get this to go from sort of a darkened top, blended into that blue, and then fading lighter and lighter as it goes towards the bottom of the cavity. Okay? So I'm just splotching on some black. And there we have it. Just like that. So now we have black just along the top. And you can see I have this spot open there. Well, I need to fill that in. Alas, we have arrived. We are done painting with plastic. So here's a close-up look of the entire thing. You can see I filled in that hole with more of the blue, and then I splotched a little bit of the blue behind that green just to break that green up a little bit. So the whole thing from top to bottom goes from now a dark black blue, fades into the sort of baby blue, into the green, into that orange bottom. Then we have all of our striping and dots placed. So, good golly, Miss Molly, that was a lot of work. Okay, thank God now for an easier part. We're just going to do a nice white pearl belly. No surprise there, because we want a white color behind all of these skin layers. That way it amplifies all the work that we did. If I was pouring a really dark color back there, it wouldn't work. Okay, the moment I've been waiting for. I'm going to top one of these off and call it complete. Follow me and I will complete your training. Here we, oh, messed it up. Need to complete my own training. Man, I'm like nervous. I've put a lot of work into this and I want it to work. So there we go. And I over poured it. Great. Okay, well, the molds, or excuse me, the baits are officially complete. There's nothing else I need to do to them other than just wait and then put eyeballs on them later. And I have to say, I am nervous. This feels like back in college or high school when I studied really hard for a test. I really put some effort into it. And, you know, you take the test, you're feeling good about your chances, you think you got it, then you get your test back and maybe you never had it. I don't know, we'll see. This was an ultimate test. This is like final exam, hand pouring, advanced hand pouring final exams. I don't know, did we pass the test? We will find out. Okay, this drum roll reveal is gonna be a little different. I already peeked and put some eyes just in place so that you get the proper effect. And I do have some critiques of how I did this, but let's see how we did. Drum roll, please. We're just gonna pop them open. Here we go. There's one, there's two, and there's three. Not too bad. Look at that. Yeah. Little Jetson blue squid eye there on the front. Figured it would kind of go along with the blue. So, critique time. That red, not near bright enough. That kind of got lost in it a little bit. Second critique, my spots are too orange. They needed to have been a little bit brighter yellow, I feel like. But overall, the effect is there. What I did not do is taper the dark blue into a lighter blue. The example has a lot more lighter blue in it. And you can see it's pretty much all the same blue. So I should have poured a little less green here. And then poured some lighter blue kind of in this area here, just to taper it all the way down. I kind of thought I was going to get that effect, but I didn't. However, those ain't bad. So here they are outside in some natural lighting. Yeah, really cool. You can see that red shows up a little bit better. Yeah. What do you guys think? Yeah. Very, very difficult pour. That is for sure. But I have to say, I am mostly very happy with this. First time I've ever tried something this outrageous, particularly this pattern. Yeah, looking good. Lots of detail poured in there. But just like anything else you do in bait making, it can always be better. So maybe one day when I am feeling lucky and have the time, we shall tackle this one again and try and do it better. Okay, well, that was tough. There's definitely a couple things that we could do better next time, but I'm actually really happy with that. You know, I made a reference to like a test or an exam earlier. I would give myself a B on that one. Definitely not an A, definitely not an A+. We could have, like I said, faded our blue down a little bit more, and I would need to change the hue and actually lessen, I think, the saturation on the orange dots and basically anything that was poured in that first orange color. I think that needs to be toned down a little bit, but man, for a first try, mission impossible, hey, at least we survived. Okay, bye.